Overthinkers, it's Fnaf season, and I believe I not only solved the secret of Balloon Boy's identity, but how the Aftons have actual literal powers and how it's going to change everything we know about the Fnaf movie franchise. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Animated Cartoon Conspiracy Theory. Now, Halloween has just passed at the time of recording, and even though I don't directly celebrate the holiday, I do enjoy the spoopy season. And what better way to celebrate the fall spoopy season than with another rewatch of Fnaf the movie, and just in time for the sequel that's coming out soon. I mean, is that and playing some scary games, of course, that's on the channel. Nudge, nudge, push, push. And let me level with you guys. I was low-key avoiding a theory on any Fnaf content because of the haters, but you know what Freddy would do? He would har right in their face and give them a bite of 87 size theory anyway. But upon rewatching the movie, I realized that there are very minor details that make more sense as the Fnaf series has basically progressed, especially with things like the secret of the mimic coming out and fleshing the story out in a huge way for the game. But I believe the secret of the mimic and these minor details are the key to understanding the Fnaf movie franchise in the future, especially figuring out Balloon Boy's secret identity. And of course, understanding William Afton's superpowers. So if you're ready to find out the truth behind William Afton and Balloon Boy, strap in, hit that subscribe button, and hype the video, because this is about to get dark. So if you're watching this video, you probably are already a Fnaf aficionado. So if you're new here or just need a simple refresher, let me remind you what Fnaf is all about. Because the Fnaf movie is not a direct remake of the game's lore, the book's lore, or even the DLC's additional lore to all of it. The movie kind of sits on its own as a Fazbear stew of some sorts. To put it simply, the movie follows Michael Schmidt and his divine battle against William Afton, while the games are about the animatronics getting revenge against William Afton and seeing him reincarnate in different ways while he's still being haunted by it. And the books, they're sort of an anthology of extended stories in the similar type of universe. Tracking with me? But in the Fnaf film, Mike Schmidt fights against William Afton with the help of Vanessa Afton and of course his sister, revealing that William Afton took Mike's brother and forced all of the kids inside of animatronics. But in the film, three major questions are never fully answered. One is, who is Balloon Boy? He's an animatronic that scares Mike twice and attacks the cab driver. And number two is, where is Garrett, the long lost brother of Mike? Is he stuck inside of one of the animatronics or elsewhere? And lastly, what kind of powers did William use to control the animatronics? Well, in order to understand that, we must talk about the secret of the freaking mimic. So the secret of the mimic was a game released in the summer of 2025 to much fanfare, but the thing is that this was actually a prequel to all of the Fnaf games, taking place even before the first diner was even made and the first kids were snatched up. At least that's where the lore of the story takes place, whereas we're just going back and finding out all of these things. In the secret of the mimic, you take the role as the technician known as Arnold, tasked with going inside of an old abandoned place known as Murray's Costume Manor and uncovering the secret of Edwin Murray's creations, the owner of Murray's Costume Manor. Eventually, you find yourself face to face with a violent endoskeleton that comes after you at every corner and turn. But after finishing the story to its fullest extent, we find out that Edwin actually created this violent endoskeleton known as the Mimic, just so that way it could watch his son, known as David Murray. But after Edwin's son was tragically struck by a car, he fell into a Great Depression. But after realizing the Mimic was actually doing some of the similar things his son used to do, he hit the Mimic, infusing violent tendencies inside of his creation, which in turn turned on him. Also, he made a robot version of his wife that sits in the basement. I thought that was a fun fact that's crazy to believe. But as some of you might be wondering, what does this have to do with Balloon Boy, and does it even explain William Afton's powers? Well, many overthinkers actually think Balloon Boy might be Garrett, Mike's brother, and this could be because of the airplane symbolism. Balloon Boy has a special balloon and it flies around, and Garrett does also, but I find it hard to believe. For starters, doesn't Garrett look a lot too much like Jack Black, who happens to be playing the puppet? Yeah, rumors aside, a great timid theorist already suspect that Garrett might actually be the puppet in the second film. At least I thought so too until 8 minutes before I started to record this sound. Like literally 8 minutes before I recorded this, they released another trailer for the Fnaf film prior to its release, which not only features Vanessa talking about her dreams and something strange going on, revealing the mimic and how it's actually going to attack, but also a girl who's oddly dressed like the puppet color scheme. And I think it's pretty safe to say that she might be the puppet and Garrett might not be. And that leaves Garrett out of the question. So overthinkers, down in the comments, I want you to put down who you think Garrett might actually be, if he's even an animatronic. This might have just been a one-off killing that is done by William Afton just to see if he can get away with doing it in the first place. But remember, this video is all about William Afton's powers and Balloon Boy's true identity, which happens to be someone we've least expected until this point: Edwin Murray's son, David Sean Murray. So how do we know that David Sean Murray is actually Balloon Boy? Well, we know by the way that Afton is supposedly controlling the animatronics, the pictures on the wall. Now, during the Fnaf movie, you might have noticed the importance of dreams and pictures. I mean, the movie starts off with Mike constantly trying to go back and dreaming. His sister is constantly drawing pictures, so drawings and dreams have a huge implication in the movies. But it isn't until the climax of the movie where they explain that the pictures are somehow controlling or overriding the memories of the animatronics. That's when Mike's sister tears the picture of the bunny holding hands off the wall and replaces it with her drawing telling the truth of what happened to the animatronics in the first place. But if you take a look at the images plastered on the wall and slide your eyes to the left, you might notice one drawing that might go missing. That is a drawing of her mother and her son holding a balloon with the name David scribbled right next to the boy. And I could end the theory right there. Case closed. That is David Sean Murray. But it's not going to be fulfilling if we don't go over why. See, the connection here doesn't stop. It actually goes deeper. Now, if we go early into the film where Mike's aunt is trying to find dirt on him so that way she can blackmail him into giving him his sister, she sends a group of goons to go invade his job and workplace to find that dirt. And each one of them gets chased by the animatronics. But it isn't until the babysitter, who was also in on the plan, goes inside to check on the other goons. And while inside, she gets led astray by Golden Freddy's spirit, who leads her directly inside of the storeroom where old animatronic parts are thrown all around. And one of the first things she sees upon going inside is a discombobulated dog animatronic. Now, a lot of Fnaf fans initially believed that this character was Sparky the dog, a hoax Fnaf character that didn't really hold any weight. Apparently, there was images and videos showing that this dog might actually be a character. But this doesn't actually line up with the picture at all. In fact, it actually lines up with the character that we see inside of the Secret of the Mimic, known as Bub, B-U-B, Bub the dog. And we know this because if you take an even closer look at Bub in the storage room, you see a little collar on his neck that has the shape of a bone, which also happens to be the empty spring-lock suit that Arnold can climb in the game Secret of the Mimic. So that does mean behind the scenes in the Fnaf movies, Edwin Murray does exist and has worked on the animatronics prior to Fazbear. And it makes even more sense that a picture of a son and his mom at Freddy Fazbear's would exist, especially one named David, let alone a kid named David holding a balloon. And the reason why it would only be the mom is because Edwin Murray is always stuck working. And if he had to bring his child to work one day, it would make sense that it would be at Fazbear's Entertainment. So I'm going to say pretty confidently that Balloon Boy is actually Edwin Murray's son, David Sean Murray, and possibly that his technology is what is going to start the next film, that his designs for the animatronic skeletons is what directly creates Mangle. Okay, so what about Afton's superpowers and how are they going to affect the next film coming forward? Remember how I said images and dreams are immensely important in this series? It actually might have to do with what is reality and what is fake. See, at the very beginning of the film, Mike loses his job after beating someone into a pulp at his security job. Shortly after talking to William Afton by mistake, he takes his sister to the psychiatrist. And Mike discounts himself as a good caretaker, but the psychiatrist disagrees. She actually insists that his sister cares for him, and she knows this because of the pictures that she drew of Mike, saying that before we even learn how to speak, pictures are the way that we communicate what is real and what is important to us. So while it doesn't seem like Mike is a good caretaker or that his sister cares for him, she actually feels the opposite, and it's expressed through her pictures. But on the flip side to that, Mike is always chasing dreams. The dreams are malleable, they're not all the way true, and he can barely trust it. Every time Mike goes back into the dream world, something changes, a memory fades. Everything doesn't seem so stable. So in a way, this picture and dream imagery are actually contrasting one another. One is reality and one is fate. And this is the direct reason why Afton does not get attacked by the animatronics. They think he's one of them per the pictures, specifically the image with the bunny holding hands. And if you think about it, the animatronic spirits only manifest in the dreams, which means that they exist solely as memories, meaning that they don't know how to feel about things that happen past themselves, which is why the only reason Afton could control them is by changing their reality. And it's the same reason why Mike needed to stare at a poster of Nebraska each time he wanted to go back to that memory. But what if I told you that William Afton actually figured out the dreams and imagery connection long before he even controlled the animatronics? In fact, he figured this out with his daughter Vanessa. See, throughout the film, Vanessa is actually subtly warning Mike about the dangers of Fazbear Entertainment, but for some reason she cannot directly say anything that goes against William Afton. Each time it's a subtle hint or a nice shrug or why didn't you just leave when I asked you to? And it isn't until the near climax of the movie where she reveals her true identity, and she relinquishes a picture of herself when she was a kid with William Afton's bunny suit. And in that picture, she was happy. And if you notice, it isn't until after she gives Mike the picture that she's actually able to face her father, and she literally shoots him, which is why he was shocked when she did it, because he knew that his mind control worked on her. That happy childhood image rewrote the way that she saw her father even up until this point. But is that really all there is to it? Slapping a bunny image next to a happy person that rewrites their memory? Yeah, that's probably it. Because even when you go back to that newest trailer that we were talking about, Vanessa first talks about dreams.
Tell me about your bad dreams.
The first opening sequence is her waking up and Mike questioning her about that dream. But of course, is that a coincidence? I think not. And of course, if you like videos like this and more, make sure you like, share, and subscribe all of the videos on the channel. And if you like, you can check out the whole season 2 playlist of animated cartoon conspiracy theory. We got anime theories, game theories, and of course, film theories like this and more. And if you want to see more Fnaf theories in the future, why not give this a like? I'll probably be encouraged to make more. And I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye. You know the Flying Dutchman, the terror of the seas, the ghostly pirate captain, the one that will send you to Davy Jones' locker? Well, he traded his soul for immortality to a living locker. And now he simply feeds the souls of others to get out of his eternal debt. But there is somebody that wants to stop him.